Testing one, two. All right. So now I'm being heard. Let's see if we can make it even better. If not, we'll work with this. We'll work with this. Testing one, two. All right. So now I'm being heard. Let's see if we can make it even better. If not, we'll work with this. Awesome. All right. All right, so we're just gonna wait a little bit and then we'll begin. So I crave your indulgence. It's the first live for the year. It has been a while. It has been a while. While we're waiting, can you guys let me know exactly where you guys are watching from, whether it's Trinidad, whether it's Jamaica, whether it's somewhere else in the Caribbean or even elsewhere? I would love to know. All right, I'm gonna share my screen. All right, Kernika, I hope I'm pronouncing that properly, is watching from Trinidad and Tobago. Nice. All right. Let's see what this thing looks like when it is shared. Fun times. Fun times indeed. All right. Let's see. Are you guys seeing my screen? Awesome. Awesome. All right. So, welcome to Raising a Manly Man. And we're going to be starting in just a short while. We don't want to take too much of your Sunday afternoon. Ideally, we should be beginning now. So, we're just going to wait for another 10 seconds or so and then we'll start. Now, hopefully, you'll be able to hear all of the videos that will be shown. If not, don't worry. I will most certainly add my voice to it. All right. So that gives a somewhat of a synopsis. So my name is Alvin Brown. I am the creator of the Manly Man series. I'm an electrical engineer by training, and I've been in academia. I've been teaching at the university level and high school level for over 10 years, probably close to 12 or beyond. Not as young as I used to be. My whole view on life is that if there's an issue, don't complain, just fix it. And so when I started working in the high school environment, I realized that there were a lot of young men who didn't understand what it meant to be a man. And instead of simply complaining about their lack of knowledge, I started doing short animations to encourage them to be responsible based on different topics. And those topics I would choose depending on things I saw, whether it's them walking on the outside of the sidewalk when they're walking with a young lady or just cyberbullying or something else. So the Manly Man, the series in and of itself, started because of that. And also I realized that there was a correlation between crime and a lack of men, not adult males, but men. And I felt the need to put my 2 cents in there or throw my hat in the ring so as to help encourage the next generation. So it has been developing for a number of years. In 2017, I started. So I've done short animations on different topics. I've spoken in high schools, university, police, youth clubs, religious organizations, conducted lives, interviews with men who are well-known, responsible individuals who share their challenges and what their life was like before they became the men that they are. Some of the things I do is of course Man Story, where I interview men who are successful in whatever aspect, whether it's business, whether it's sports, whether it's the military, have them share their story, and we call it Man Story. And basically, to talk about the challenges, to talk about the trials that they have had, that they experience, and use that as a way to encourage young men to realize that even if you have problems, that's okay. That's life. Life is filled with problems. The whole idea is to become better regardless. Additionally, I have the Manly Man School Tour where I go into schools, speak with young men and young women as well, talk to them about gender issues, the differences between male and female, the importance of being responsible, the importance of understanding their emotions, all that fun stuff. So if ever you wish to have me in your high school, no problem. I can be contacted at the Manly Man series on Facebook or Instagram, or you can connect with me at manlyman.tv. But Facebook and Instagram are the fastest options. So recently, I started doing something called father-son conversations. I remember growing up, I remember all the positive male role models that I had, and I certainly appreciate what they brought to my development. So the father-son conversations is a way to have a discussion with fathers and mentors to encourage them to build a bond with their sons. And in so doing, in building that bond with their sons, they allow for a healthy development, or rather, they are able to help them develop in a healthy and balanced manner. And of course, mother son conversations as well, where we discuss things like the difference in communication styles between men and women, much so an adult woman and a growing young man, the importance of giving young men responsibility, and creating a safe space as well for single parents, because each parenting situation has different challenges. So we want to make sure that regardless of what your situation is, you are in the best position to understand yourself, understand the needs of your son, and therefore allow for the best possible outcome. So we have these interviews with different men. That one is Rory Bradford. He is a businessman who, as you have heard, had a very interesting past. And one of the things that we do with this is allow young men to appreciate, regardless of whatever mistakes you have made to date, it is still possible for you to become a better version of yourself. So today's topics are as follows. Know that I've given you an introduction as to what I do and the reasoning behind it, and of course, who I am. We're going to be having a discussion about the importance of positive role models, the importance of fathers and or other positive role models. We're going to talk about technology. There are some things that are happening that you probably aren't aware of, which will shock you. I can assure you it will. Then we're going to have a discussion about illicit drugs, something which has been with us for a while. However, like so many things in life, they have a saying: the more things change, the more they stay the same. Well, yeah, we're going to realize that the illicit drugs, apparently, well, clearly that wasn't spelled correctly, but you get the point. We're going to be talking about illicit drugs, and no, I wasn't taking any. All right. Now, what is a family? Basically, the family is the smallest version or the smallest part of a society. And maybe if you did sociology, you would have remembered of such an expression or a similar description. There are a number of reasons why the family is important. Your family or families in general have a way of impacting the rest of society. And so society can be argued is a reflection of the average family, or at least a reflection of a number of families, because your ideas, your views on life come from a large portion of that idea, or those ideas come from your family. Your father, your mother, your sister, you probably climb a tree one day and you drop off, and from then you are like me and trees, not about that life. And those experiences, whatever they are, will color your perception of life. And if it colors your perception of life, it obviously allows you to interact with life using those tinted glasses. No, according to the Department of Justice in the States, parental involvement or parental non involvement with their children may lead to juvenile delinquency. And disclaimer, that is the only time for this presentation that we're going to have a discussion that includes anything outside of the Caribbean. So from now on, every stats you're going to hear has to do with some country within the Caribbean. So fret not. Because at the end of the day, for us to have this dialogue, we need to have statistics, but the statistics must also be relevant. So, on that line, statistics. According to Statista, interesting name, homicide rates in selected Caribbean countries are as follows. Well, Latin American and Caribbean countries. Jamaica, shocker there. Number one at 52.9. This is the one time I am not pleased with Jamaica being the top of any list. Second is Venezuela with 40.4. And this is, of course, per 100,000. And Trinidad and Tobago is at number 3 with 39.4. So clearly there is an issue in some of these countries. And I wonder what could be a contributing factor to that. One wonders. Well, the question is, what happens when there is no stable family? Good question. According to statistics in Jamaica, 90% of gang members come from fatherless homes, and 85% of youth in prison come from fatherless homes. In fact, 70% of teenage pregnancies are also from fatherless homes. So there is a need for a positive role model in the home. Now, you might say, based on your situation, if you're the young lady, that the father isn't a positive role model, or the father refuses to be there, or the father has passed on. There are a number of reasons. If that is the case, there are ways for you to get other male influences. But what I want us to appreciate is that a young man needs a man to show him what a man is. I cannot look on a young lady at 12 and say, let me show you how to be a woman. I've never been a woman in my life. I have absolutely no idea how to do so. A father cannot teach his daughter how to be a woman. A mother cannot teach her son how to be a man. She may make suggestions, she may attempt to lead him in a particular way, but she can't do it. It's not possible. She can teach him good things, just as our father can teach his daughter good things, but she cannot speak from the knowledge of experience. Does that make sense? We okay? All right. Now, one of the things that leads to the challenges that we have with violence in the Caribbean is a culture of glorification of violence. And let me clarify, a culture of glorification of criminal activity. Let's use that statement instead. A culture of glorification of criminal activity and a culture of reprisal killings. And of course, there's also this whole idea of fatherlessness in homes. All of those three things have a way of creating a conveyor belt of death and destruction, as a famous YouTuber, which I watch all the time, says. Big up Sir P. Anyhow, moving right along. Emotional intelligence. Why is emotional intelligence important? Now, we may have heard the term emotional intelligence in the past. Sounds like just two big words. Why should we care? Why is this relevant? It's basically understanding our feelings and the feelings of those around us, and recognizing how we can change or adjust those feelings. I was going to say manipulate, but manipulate has a very negative connotation to it. So, a good example is this. Everyone here knows that when they were 4, or if they have a child that is 4, they know that child knows the best time to ask for something. That child will look in your eyes, look at your expression, and say, Daddy and Mommy is happy, they're in a good mood, I'm going to ask for ice cream. So the children at a very young age are capable of recognizing that. No problem at all. When you get to high school, you know how to annoy your friends, and sometimes you greet your friends with an insult because that's just how you do things. And you know what buttons to press. There are times when you might be in a classroom, and depending on the person in that classroom, they can get another classmate to get in trouble by quietly nudging them along until they get annoyed and they have an outburst, and the teacher tells that person to shut up, be quiet, or whatever, and they are laughing in the background because they know how to choke fire. They know that they're like the set on. That's another level. So you have like primary school level, you know how to identify other people's emotions, you know when they're in a good mood, you know when to ask them for something. High school level, you know how to get your friends or other individuals that you know to a particular extent, you know how to get them angry. And then, let's say it's the university level where you start to recognize your own emotions. Okay, right now I am happy, right now I'm fearful, right now I'm upset, whatever that emotion is. Then now, you move from there to recognizing the reasons why you are upset or the reasons why you are not feeling in a particular way. Saying, all right, I'm not feeling good. I'm very irritable right now because I didn't eat this morning. Or I don't like speaking about this particular topic. So you recognize what triggers you. All right, nice. From there now, you reach to the PhD level where you no longer simply recognize what triggers you, but you are now capable of taking yourself off that edge so that you don't respond negatively, whether it's for you to walk away, whether it's for you to go out and play some ball, something to get that edge off so that you don't respond in a negative manner, whether it is thinking about the consequences to the actions that you are tempted to do, whatever that is. Being able to recognize your triggers and understanding how to come off that edge is another level. Let's see what happens when we're unable to master ourselves. This is a bit graphic for those who, disclaimer. So here we have a man who is beating up a woman because he saw her in the bar with another man. And rather than walking away from this situation, he's reacting violently because he is incapable of mastering his own emotional responses. That is what happens when individuals do not are not able to exercise emotional intelligence. And these are some of the things that we don't want to happen. Now you might say, well, my son is 12, my son is 14. My son, that don't have anything to do with us. Yet, But the thing is, if you're raising a manly man, an adult male who is responsible, who is capable of exercising emotional intelligence, who is capable of self-control, who is going to be a good father to his children, who's going to be a great husband, who's going to be attentive, who's going to be capable of protecting his family, then there are some skills that are required. He doesn't just wake up one day and miraculously is able to control himself. These are skills that must be developed over time. You're not raising a son, or rather, you're not raising a boy, you're raising a man. The intention, the end result is a responsible adult male who will make you proud of his actions, his words, his thoughts, his deeds, everything. And for that to happen, we have to look at them not as simply boys, but as becoming young men, becoming adult males. Right. So emotional intelligence is something that has to be worked on. And one of the ways to do so is to give your sons good examples of persons that they can mirror. Studies. One study showed that fathers who are more involved in their children's lives tend to have children that are more emotionally stable. Another one stated that children of fathers who have healthy relationships with their mothers are more likely themselves to form healthy relationships in the future. Again, mirroring what you do, less of what you say, but more of what you do. Studies show that children with more involved fathers tend to perform better in school. Now, again, if it is that for whatever reason the father is not there, is not present, finding a responsible male example is needed, not a suggestion, it is needed. However, this example must be a safe example. A father, a coach, an uncle, a grandfather, etc. A safe alternative, because we must remember we're in the real world. There are predators out there. There are predators out there. So we want to make sure that whatever we're doing, we are cautious in all things, right? Exercising good judgment. So, again, for this whole conversation that we're having, if I'm going to be telling you that these things are suggested, then I should, at the very minimum, give you suggestions. Otherwise, we're just spinning top in mud, wasting time. And your time is too precious for me to do that. So, some of the activities that men can involve themselves with their children, or the mentors with their mentees, playing video games. Simple as that. They can play video games together even if they're not in the same physical country. Yeah, the joys of technology. Drone flying. Most young men are rather fascinated with electronic devices, not just their cell phones. Definitely their cell phones, but not just their cell phones. Sports, whether it's football, cricket, archery, whatever. Anything new, anything fun, that's always a good thing. And teaching them how to cook, how to grill, how to cook a good pot of pillau or jerk some chicken. Men, it's a generalized statement. Men tend to like grilling or all of that fun stuff. Fishing works as well. Working on a car or even just watching movies together. Your time is precious, and therefore it is important, whether male or female, to invest your time in your family. Additionally, disclaimer, please ensure whatever you're doing that it's something that your son or your child enjoys, because otherwise it's torture. Now, one of the things that the Manly Man does is it provides for a father-son conversation. And that father-son conversation is not just sitting down and having a conversation with the boy and his father, or his mentee, or his mentor rather, but it's also having a conversation while moving. So throughout this year, we're going to be having a number of activities to encourage that same building of that relationship, whether it's archery, whether it's football, a number of things. So stay tuned for that, because we're going to be exploring a range of possible hobbies. We're going to have different events so that the fathers and their sons can come together and see whether this is a good fit for them. They can play around with different hobbies and say, okay, yeah, we like this, we can do this together, or not so much. Or this is something that I'm interested in and I've always wanted to do it. So yeah, let's see how that works. Because at the end of the day, if having that relationship is so important, then we must find ways to encourage that, to develop that relationship through these activities. So stay tuned for more information on that, because there is a lot of that happening this year. Communication with your son is extremely important, but not just as a father and a son, but also as a mother and a son. On that note, there is a mother-son breakfast that is slated for April. You're going to be hearing more about that soon. We've been having mother-son conversations, but this one is going to be a more relaxed environment. And yeah, I'm excited. And I'm sure you will be too when you realize what's about to happen. Again, one of the reasons why you should follow us online and keep looking out for more information. All right. So we just spoke about the importance of male figures in the lives of young men. Now we want to look on technology. The always on the cell phone, but there's a lot more happening than you might think. Now, in 2016, Trinidad and Tobago was ranked number 1 per capita for internet searches for pornography. That cell phone that your young child has may have things in there that you've never seen before. It might be rather shocking. So it's a very good idea for you to monitor that cell phone. That's an alleyway, a doorway for your child to invite persons into your home without you knowing. And just as how you would be interested in a door unlocked in the middle of the night, you must be careful about having a virtual door unlocked 24/7. But there is more than simply pornography that is a challenge for these youth. Now, on that note, there is some information, read the Children's Act of Trinidad and Tobago, that speaks to the dangers of sharing child pornography. And it might be, why is that important? Well, some of your daughters and sons are encouraging others and being encouraged to share pictures of their private parts, which is illegal because they're minors and therefore is child pornography. And you have to be careful about that. You need to have a discussion with your children about the dangers, because not only is it illegal, let's say that so a child is anyone under 18. Let us say that you and your son is 17, his girlfriend is 16. Sharing pornography, sharing each other's whatever online. Your son becomes 18. Yeah, things get sticky. So one has to be careful because there are other penalties that may happen even before that time, because there are other categories. So just remind them not to do so. We have seen in the past, recent past, what happens when images get out for whatever reason. I don't need to call any names. We all, especially those on this side of the Caribbean, know exactly what story I'm referring to. So it's never a good idea to take videos or pictures of oneself, certainly not as a child, because one of the challenges that happens is you have some predators who will use that as blackmail to say, all right, here's it. You already showed me this. Send me more, or I will show X, Y, Z. So it's a rabbit hole that you don't want to get into. Now you may ask, why should I care? Artificial intelligence, such as ChatGPT, is currently being used by your children. That young man, that young girl in your house, chances are they know about this and you don't. It's going to be making the workforce, other things related to it as well. It's going to be making a lot of jobs obsolete. So now there are places where you can go to the supermarket and there are no cashiers. You just take up the food, walk through the door, and your everything has been paid for. You have instances where restaurants like a McDonald's, you just have robots in there that flipping burgers whole day, frying fries whole day, and there is no person there. In fact, right now in the States, in Bank of America, there are locations where you enter that bank and there's no one present. So it is certainly a case where there's a lot of technology that is evolving really quickly that is affecting your child, your son, and you might not be aware of it. Students have admitted to using ChatGPT to write their English CSEC SBAs. Right now, there are students who are using ChatGPT not just for their CXC SBAs, but for other assignments. So they're probably getting grades that they didn't work for. And the question then is, how are we speaking to them about the dangers of using it, relying on it too much? And moreover, even in terms of the education sector, how can we start speaking about the best ways to incorporate this technology in a useful and productive manner? You see, the technology that is currently evolving is going to take away some of our jobs. Now you might be like, yeah, but I'm in the construction sector, so I don't really care. I beg your pardon. All right. So we certainly have to have that conversation with our children. We have to make sure that we're aware of the technology that is evolving, because those technology might also make our jobs obsolete in the future. So either way, we have to be careful. We certainly don't want CXC to shaft our sons and tell them that, okay, we found out that your SBAs were written by ChatGPT, because there's actually a software out there that can detect it. And if CXC says that they're going to now utilize that software, and in cases where it is found that that SBA grade becomes zero, then you could have hundreds, if not thousands, of students with a fail, just like that. Again, these are some of the challenges that we have to discuss. So the whole idea of this particular live is to give you some idea of what is happening, and then we can have a dialogue about how to mitigate the challenges that will arise. Illicit drugs. Now, again, depending on the age of your son, you might think this is not necessarily a conversation that needs to be had. He has never seen me use drugs, he knows drugs are bad. But have you been explicit in speaking about the dangers of illicit drugs? The challenges may be closer than you think. Zest appeals. And the challenge with these is oftentimes they look like candy. So just imagine that you have a young man whose parents use them. This young man sees them and probably thinks it's sweet because I'm sure we all remember having sweets like these carried to school, and then he brings it and shares it with your son, and all of a sudden everybody have an episode. We have to be careful. We have to be very careful of those dangers. And one of the challenges we have is peer pressure, because there is a lot of there are a lot of times when, as young men, you're in a high school and everybody else is doing it, so you're just being curious. You don't know, any better, or you behave as if you don't know any better. So that conversation definitely needs to be had. Of course, some of the reasons why these things are so popular is the fact that there is a feeling of invulnerability, and this is also used with persons who are into crime, unfortunately. The fact that it has memory loss is one of the reasons why it is targeted as and used as a date rate drug. And of course, there is a certain level of irritability that comes with it when it is while using it and perhaps even after. And here's another example of something else. Right. So again, it's important that you educate your sons, children in general, about the dangers that are out there. And of course, in every section, if we're having a conversation, then we need to be able to give you some pointers. So in Trinidad and Tobago, if it is that you need help in a number of areas, then you can go on www.findcareTT.com. There is also for addiction, there is a this one is also supported by the same website, New Life Ministries Rehabilitation Center, Mount St. Benedict, St. Augustine. The hotline for that one is 397-2593, and a suicide hotline 800-5588. That's toll free. And of course, one more time, that's www.findcareTT.com. For addiction, the hotline is 397-2593. And if it is that anyone you know is struggling with suicide, the numbers are 800-5588. For Jamaica, the National Council on Drug Abuse phone numbers are as follows: 1-888-991-4244. That's 1-888-991-4244. Additionally, you can call 926-9002, 926-9002 to 4. And the suicide hotline is 1-888-639-5433. That's 639-5433. In summary, in summary, for our first one for the year, it's important to remember that fathers are extremely important. Youth, especially young males, need a positive male role model to model. They need a good mentor, whether it is a biological father, which is ideal, or another responsible alternative. As it pertains to technology, there's currently a number of technology that is evolving that are going to change the very fabric of the world as we know it. It's going to be taking away a lot of jobs. It's going to be giving you new opportunities, but it's going to be taking some as well. So it's important as parents to be aware of these new technology because your children are using it. They are one of the fastest ones to adjust new technology. And some of the ways that they're using it, for instance, using ChatGPT, which is an AI to to do their SPAs, may put them in a very bad position if CXC says we're going to be using another software which has already been developed to identify submissions that have used ChatGPT, because that means that you could have a case where a very large percentage of students will get zero because they would have been found to have been cheating on their SPAs. And I mean, if you don't have math, if you don't have English, then you know, in a bad space because everyone wants you to have maths and English. And if it is that you have 8 subjects and then they found out that you use ChatGPT for English, you now have 7, and of the 7, you don't have English. And of course, you're in a bad position, right? Additionally, illicit drugs. We just had Carnival. I'm sure there are a number of instances of that party drug being used. There are the Zessa pills. Well, Carnival in Trinidad and Tobago. The Zessa pills. And because of the Zessa pills, you realize that it the color is attractive. It looks like sweets. It looks like the sweets that we had when we were younger. And so even children can see it and mistake it for something else. Bring it to school, give it to your child, and your child didn't know. The child who gave your child didn't know. All of a sudden, you're getting a phone call, and we don't want that to happen. So it is important that we make sure we speak with our children about the dangers of illicit drugs. At this point in time, at this point in time, are there any questions? Feel free to type them into the Facebook chat and I will answer accordingly. And you can also let us know where you're calling from, or rather, where you are watching from. Do tell, do tell. All right, Carissa Hernandez says that she is watching from Trinidad and Tobago, and it was very informative. Thank you very much, Carissa. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And while I'm waiting on others to tell me where they're from, please note as well, we're going to be having a number of activities for fathers slash mentors and their sons slash mentees this year, whether it's archery, whether it's paintball, whether it's self-defense, whether it's football, just giving them options so that they can get a feel of the things that they like and the things that they don't like and the things that they would like to use as a way, as a tool to develop that relationship, whether it's a 5K or whatever, however. Carissa says, I wish more people could be part of this. Well, Carissa, I'd love for you to share this video and share the information. Oh, additionally, there is a page for single mothers. There's a page for single mothers that is on our, sorry, there's a group for single mothers, a support group that is for single mothers that is on our Facebook page. So feel free to go there and connect. So it's not just for single mothers, it's for mothers in general. But I'm aware of the fact that there are many young ladies who have said they need to have a support, and therefore I'm creating a space for that. So you can always share your challenges and get feedback from others who may or may not have been in those situations, whether it is related to not having a healthy relationship with the child's father, or trying to find a mentor, or just communication issues. Is this young man washing the dishes when it's time to wash the dishes? Is he giving a back chat? You know, what are some of the ways that you can have conflict resolution? Whatever it is, feel free to share it right there. Felicia says, thank you so much for this presentation. Much appreciated. I love that feedback. I love that feedback. Stacy Ann says, appreciate the information. Juliet Lopez says she's watching from Trinidad and Tobago. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Stacy Ann says that. Okay, okay. Nice, nice. Good stuff, good stuff. Are there any questions? You can let me know. You can also, if it is that you want particular questions to be asked in the future, you can type them in now, and we can always look to those in the future. Additionally, remember the mother son breakfast is slated for April. You're gonna hear more about that, and that will be rather, put it this way, I am sure that you will enjoy that one, most definitely. And these lives, the intention is to have these lives every other month, and the topics of course would depend on what you would like to have discussed. As it pertains to time, it is now 2 minutes past 5, so we have 13 minutes. Any questions, anything that you'd like us to discuss, anything that you'd like to have clarified? Carissa asked, how do you guide the boys career-wise in light of technology that is taking over? That's an excellent question. That's a hard question. I No, there are a number of things. Ideally, the first thing is to make sure that we are watching what is happening. For instance, there is now a number of okay, Now, what I've come to realize is if you are looking at the, if it is that you're looking at the, 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 the artificial intelligence software, there are a few that are now generating images. So one of the dangers is for artists, graphic artists. Now I can type in, give me a drawing of a father and son doing archery, and I can get four possible options. And of those four options, I can say streamline version 3, and I can get a better version, and that's free. Excuse me. So what is happening is graphic artists are one of those careers that they have to be very careful. They definitely have to be very careful. So if it is that you are into graphic artists, if you are into graphic, if you are a graphic artist, you want to make sure that you definitely make yourself stand out. I would suggest it's probably giving not simply an electronic image, but doing your printing. You might want to say, "Oh, okay, I will not only give you the logo, but I will print your shirts, or I will print your your diaries, or I will make your cups, or I will use my own laser printer to etch your logos on different things." So you can't simply create an art, an electronic. You can't just create electronic art now. You have to make sure that you give more. So that is one thing for sure. That if it is that you're looking at the, if it is that you're looking at being a graphic artist, you have to be delivering a lot more than everyone else. And another thing is customer service. Now, some people will always want that human interaction. So if you are a graphic artist, you have to also develop your personal skills, your interpersonal skills. Make sure that you are very good with communication. Make sure that you get back to them on time. All of that to stand out in the crowd, because there will now be a lot of persons in the crowd who are not getting businesses. They're not getting jobs, because if I can go on, type in, I want an image that does XYZ, and I get it for free for now, then, you know, why not? Now, one of the challenges with the artificial intelligence currently is that it has issues drawing hands. But as far as I'm concerned, that's just because it's the version that they have chosen to give us at this point in time. Most likely, when everybody get comfortable using it, they're gonna make you start paying $5 per month, and they're gonna make a killing. Because my argument is always this: if you're using any software for free, you are the product. Any technology you are using for free, it is because you are the product. So currently it is for free, but you're the product because one, it's reading your needs, reading, getting a profile of you, which of course is being stored for, anyway. And it is also using you as a to test it so that it learns, so that it becomes better. So you're beta testing it in essence. Kyle says, "Good afternoon, everyone. Joined a bit late, but still able to get some valuable information. Greatly appreciated." And Kyle is from Trinidad and Tobago. Nice, nice. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Anyone else? Any other questions before we wrap up? All right. So Carissa says, can I suggest that you offer this information for the young men who are approaching career selection? Yes, I have and will continue to do so. Definitely. Most definitely. All right. Well, I want to thank you very much for your time. And I would love to have more feedback concerning this. So if you are interested, I would like to send you a feedback form in about an hour. Hopefully you haven't forgotten. Hopefully by then you haven't forgotten what are the things that stood out, what are the things that you would like to, yeah. So hopefully by then you haven't forgotten. So what I'm going to do is all the persons here, I'm going to see if I can reach out to you and ask you to give me some feedback via a form, if you so desire. Well, if there are no more questions, thank you very much for being part of this discussion. Again, join us on the Manly Man series on Facebook, on Instagram, and please ensure that you share this information with everyone. We have activities for fathers and sons. We have activities for mothers and sons. We have our mother and son breakfast coming up in April. We have a number of father and son activities throughout the year. So I'm looking forward to being part of that with you. And we also will be having these lives every other month. If there are no other questions, enjoy the rest of your evening and take care.